Okay, I was like, surely this movie isn't going in this like left-handed direction that I think it is. It is. It's going, and it went past it. Welcome back to a Slice, Spice, and a Dice movie reviews. My name is Paul. I hope you are doing well. Y'all, today we are going to be reviewing Splice. Yes, Splice, and it spliced my brain in two and has left it seared, tainted, and tarnished, okay? Now, what we'll do here, this isn't going to be like spoiler alerts, but as I always say in my little reviews, if you don't want to know anything about the movie, then don't be watching this, okay? Because I will be talking about some stuff, but not like major like plot reveal, that type of stuff. So what I want to do is get into like the little nuts and bolts of it. So what we'll do first is we'll look at the IMDb page and we'll go from there. Alright, so on the screen you see this very disturbing picture. It is listed as horror sci-fi. It completely is that. It says genetic engineers Clive, Nicole, and Elsa Cast hope to achieve fame by successfully splicing together the DNA of different animals to create new hybrid animals for medical use. The director is Vincenzo Natali, and same for the writers, Antoinette Terry Bryant and Doug Taylor. Stars Adrian Brody, Sarah Polley, Delphine Chaniak. I hope I'm saying that right. So there's that. Now let's do this. Let's dive a little bit deeper into that plot line. Okay, so this is definitely like a twisted sci-fi horror all combined into it. We're dealing with a couple of scientists. They're a couple. And just think of your stereotypical big pharma bad. Big pharma doing questionable things with DNA. Big pharma doing things they shouldn't do. That type of stuff, right? Now what this will entail is eventually the two scientists will go lamb, right? And they will make their own little experiment using human DNA, which happens to be from the female of the couple, and this little creature thing that they've been doing for the pharma company. So this is like a last-ditch effort. Let's try this. It works. It creates this spliced thing, right? This little weird baby monster creature thing. And this is where the trouble starts, right? So this thing will grow up very quickly and it will become more human, if you will, as it grows. And it will come into its own. It will go through puberty. This will lead to some pretty horrific things and so forth. And they go through this whole metamorphosis. Okay, so I'm going to kind of leave the plot at that and let's start talking about some layers of messages being presented in the film and kind of my takeaways from it. Now, I will begin to say this right off the bat. If SA is a trigger for you, this film is not for you. It has very graphic scenes involving that towards the very end. You're not prepared for this. Okay, that's the thing about this movie, is it's going and going and going, and then you start to see a few nuggets of like, oh, surely they're not going to go there. That would be absolutely creepy and inappropriate. And they went there. And then beyond it, right? Okay. So just know that if that's a trigger for you, probably not going to be for you. Okay, so one of the things that this film does well, it's like I said, it's like a horror sci-fi film. Think The Fly, that kind of vibe or whatever, right? So you're dealing with like the aesthetic of like your typical like laboratory, cold, scientist, that type energy. Now the film does do well where they take you more into the backstory of the scientist couple and you're going to like a former home and things like that, and you're seeing more to their story, their history, and kind of how they arrived at their current personalities and a little bit beyond what's presented in the beginning of the film. So saying that and mentioning it here, what I mean is it goes into depth. It makes them more than cardboard cutouts of, oh, bad scientist does an experiment. You're like, oh, okay, there's a little bit of a story here to them. So I appreciate that. This, to me, does a good job and a full circle round, right, of the cycle of life, the cycle of karma, the cycle of greed, the cycle of pharmaceutical companies gone awry, of a couple at odds with one wants this, one wants that, of what money and fame can do, of what the desire for a nuclear family can do, and when the two collide, right? There's a lot of stuff going on. So on that level, it will keep you interested. If you're somebody who wants a little bit more depth to even a horror or sci-fi film, it delivers in that way, right? But like what I said, is it literally takes you to a level where you're like, I didn't know we were going here. I almost want to cut, like, the way, I'll say this, the way that it has seared into my brain, I'm going to say it's almost like damn Centipede, Human Centipede, where you're like, it's not gross, but it did this emotional thing, mind F, where you're like, days after, you're still like, ugh, just shudder a little bit when you think about it, right? It's so on that level, if you like that, you're going to love this film. Now, I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about who I would say the main character is, and this is the Splice of the human, the little creature. Dren is the name of the creature, the humanoid, the whatever you want to call her, right? And we'll say her because she presents in the beginning as like, you know, a female. That's what they're dressing her as. That's what she seems to be. Now, this does a few things for me. And so for me, whenever I watch these films like The Fly, things like that where a person has been experimented upon and bad things have been done to them, or even an animal or whatever, and they're kind of like, you know, being watched upon, it really messes with my psyche. Like, it makes me feel really gross and dirty and like you want to rescue them. And for me, this character presents that, where you feel really sorry for them because you're like, oh my God, like, what is this? There's also like the oddity of how the creature looks. As the creature progresses, and I say creature because it's like, I'm not sure what you would call it, her, creature, whatever, it becomes more human and conditioned to the human ways because they're essentially raising her like that. But that in turn, you know, isn't well either because she's not a human. There's other things going on there. But it conjures up all of those emotions so that also when you begin to look at the complicated scenarios of when Dren is basically a teenager and going through that, and the scientists are her parents, it's like this very bizarre thing that once they've established that and then they go to this left field place with it, it's like, ugh. What are we doing? How did we get here? But also by utilizing the character and making it part human, part creature, it's the driving factor behind the emotional thud of the film. Again, it's like, look, this is what can happen when you start messing with like technology and life itself, you know, and the structure of DNA and all the stuff that it does, right? It's just, you know, this is the outcome that could happen type situation. Now, also, it then becomes like this heroic type thing with what Dren ends up doing in the very end, where it's almost like this big F you to the man type thing, literally, right? And you see karma kind of play out, but because you've been invested in all of the characters along the way, it's almost like this, I don't know, like it confuses the emotions, right? And in that way is good, because for me, when I watch horror, when I watch sci-fi, I'm looking for that, right? I don't want things to be pretty up and tied up and whatnot. And so this film does that. It really mind F's you and then dumps you off at this place where you want to call somebody and be like, yeah, hey, you got a minute? Yeah, did you just watch Splice? Okay, because I'm pouring bleach over my brain and my eyes right now. You know what I mean? Like, literally, it's that vibe. So if you like that in horror films and whatnot, immediately go out and see this. Immediately go out and see it, okay? I mean, this is an older film, and so for it to do that, it's amazing. And again, like I said, like, aesthetically, it brings that kind of older film to it. Not in the grainy way like I talk about that I like, but just like, you know, again, like The Fly, these kind of old school films. It's not that old, but you know what I'm saying? It kind of reaches back to that. So, that being said, if you're looking for gore, it's not there, but it's a different kind of gore. This is more like disgust, repulsion, that type thing, right? Again, for a sci-fi film, loves it, absolutely loves it. My sci-fi vibes are like Alien, right? And this, to me, The Fly, things like that, where they're a mixture of horror and sci-fi, and this is right in there with it. Right in there with it. Totally will watch it again. So, does it get a slice, spice, and dice? It gets all three of them. We're going to come up with a real rating system. I know some of you have asked, and we'll just figure it out along the way. If you feel like I should apply, so drop your ideas off in the comment section. Let me know. I'm willing to look at them. For God's sakes, we just got to make that part up as we go. Anyways, I hope you are doing well. I hope that you enjoy the film if you do watch it. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. And until we do go down there with our popcorn to watch these, you know what shows that we watch, I'll see y'all next time.